Hey guys, really excited to introduce you to one of our title sponsors for Elevate Sales Kickoff. Today I'm joined by Morgan Cole, who's the founder and CEO of Rescover. Morgan, what's going on, man? How are things in
Hey
Houston?
Ben, what's up? It's great to see you. Things in Houston are really good. It's got some nice for Houston. We have some nice weather today. It's only about 80, 82 degrees right now, which is,
Perfect.
I mean,
A balmy
well,
82.
I don't
Yeah.
even think the humidity could be past 65 right now. So, I mean,
Oh, well then,
it's
yeah,
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 no, we're doing
yeah.
good. We're doing good out here.
I love it. I love it. Well, Morgan, obviously, I know you very well, having worked with you at Rescover, and there may be some folks out there who aren't familiar with Rescover. So I wondered if you could give me the quick elevator pitch. What is Rescover.com? Tell us what Rescover does.
Rescover is a software for property managers to elevate the services that they offer and align themselves with investors, or maybe people who are accidental landlords that don't recognize the power of the home that they own and really the investment that they have in their hands. So using our tools, you are able to speak a language that is conveying the investment performance of a house. It's not,
Mm,
when someone calls you up and says, I'd like to get a rental analysis on this house, probably really all they're asking you is how much will it rent for? Because that's what's on their mind,
yeah,
right?
right.
They know what their mortgage is. They may have gotten to the point in the conversation of, well, what do you charge? I charge 10%, right? Like they know that. So in their mind, they're kind of racking up like, okay, my mortgage is 1,500. This guy told me he'd rent it for 2,500. So I got my management fee. Sure, I'm going to make some money. And you've answered the question. But what if you could tell them, hey, looks like after tax, you're going to make about $425 a month of cash flow on that property. And over the next 10 years, you're going to accumulate about $165,000 of net gain.
Mm,
Everybody can understand those numbers. Everybody can get a benefit out of that. And so with Rescover, it's easy. I mean, it's the same process as creating a rental analysis on any other system, but with Rescover, it dives deep and it shows someone the power of the house that they either already have. Um,
yeah.
how many times have you had a conversation with somebody who was upset that they had just spent $5,000 on the air conditioner for the house,
Right.
and maybe they're ready to throw in the towel? Well, with this, you can say, listen, I get it. I know it. That stinks. Nobody wants to spend $5,000. But do you realize that in spite of that, you've actually still made $5,000 this year? You've had appreciation. You've had pay down on the loan. You've had depreciation, the tax savings from depreciation. So I get it. I know you're upset, but hold on.
Yeah,
It's in the grand scheme of things, that $5,000
that's right.
is just a little blip, and we're still making that $165,000 over the next 10 years.
Yeah. Well, I think it totally changes the conversation, right? You mentioned on the business development side, people are coming to you as a property manager and they want to know what their property is going to rent for. But we know that that's really only a small part of the conversation, right? What the property is listed for and what it rents for. You have to factor in so many other things to get a true sense of what the performance of the property is. And then obviously, once you have that customer, reducing the headaches and the emotional conversations you have to have about the sort of like temporary pain of a large expense while still taking the full picture of, hey, I know this stinks, but look, there's more to it. So I'm excited for you to share some of that with the folks that are coming to Elevate. As you think about this, right? Like you were one of the first people that I talked to about this event and the opportunity to sponsor it, because I think that what Rescover does is so applicable to the world of sales and BDMs and trying to grow a business. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that, how you see Rescover fitting into, the tech stack of somebody that's trying to grow a property management business.
That's a great question. We fit in on multiple levels, and so with your question at its core there of trying to grow a property management business. So one of our products is called Portfolio Finder, and Portfolio Finder allows you to search for the people in your market who have investment real estate. And we research their contact information and we allow you to add that to your CRM via API or export a CSV and do what you will with that. So if I'm growing a property management company, I want to know who is everybody in my market that has at least 3 single family houses. Who is everybody who owns a 2 to 4 unit property? Who is an accidental landlord? We have some new features
Mm.
that we're rolling out right now that will highlight people that we decide are accidental landlords. And we're defining that for Rescover as anybody who has a property that they've listed for lease online. It's not already recorded with the tax assessor as an absentee owned home. That's what it
Mm.
is. It's
Okay.
a homestead
Yeah. Wow.
that you put for lease. Okay, well, we can now highlight those. And so if you have a strategy for going after accidental landlords and talking to them about their property, we can help you find those. So we fit in really well with identifying the people in your area who own rental property, who own, whether they're an investor, whether you want to classify
Yeah.
them as, hey, they already have 5 properties. I mean, this is clearly somebody who's not accidental, or it's an
Right.
accidental. Then we can help you find those people. Take a look at the properties that they own. We give you the stats about the properties, how much they're worth, what they'd rent
Yeah.
for. You can get their contact information. And with some of these new features that we have, this is actually the first time I'm talking about this on anything that's recorded. But
I love it.
but
That's great.
I'll just tell you right now, we have a new feature rolling out at the end of the month called Autopilot. And with Autopilot, we will drop 25 leads per week every Monday into your CRM, or at a minimum, you'll get a CSV attached to the email that we send out on Monday morning, and it'll say, "Dear Ben,
Wow.
here they are." But here's what we're doing: you create your area that you care about, you create that saved search.
Yeah.
We're gonna skip trace everybody on that list. We're gonna email validate them to make sure that their emails are deliverable. And then we're going to enrich the leads to the best extent possible using the services that we're using to grab social media profiles, things like LinkedIn, things like
Wow.
Facebook,
Yeah.
and enrich that. So
Yeah.
we're finding that what we're doing is we're validating the leads. So let's say that in your area, if we start with 100, maybe we wind up with 60 of them that have a valid email address.
Right.
Well, then we're enriching
Right.
them, and we're finding that we can enrich about 75% of those. So you're going to get
Wow.
about 75% of those 25 that come through will not only have a deliverable email address, but they'll also have some social media profile, and that's we're pretty excited about this, because now
Yeah.
all you have to do is create your saved search and Rescover, enable the autopilot, and it's just running, and it's giving you those leads every single Monday.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine if I'm a property management business owner who's coming to Elevate, and part of the reason I'm coming is because I want 2026 to be bigger than 2025. And one of the things that I hear all the time, right, is I want to start doing outbound, but I don't really know where to start, or I don't have a strategy, or I have a BDM and they're doing a good job, but there's not enough inbound leads coming in to sustain them, and so I need to start doing other things to generate new business, right? Like this is a perfect example of a tool that somebody can implement in 2026 to go out and find new people to talk to, right? Rather than waiting for them to come to you and fill out a form on your website. So, Morgan, last thing, one of the things as we look at kind of building the agenda for SKO, one of the things that you're going to be talking a lot about is specifically on the investor side. If I'm a business owner or I'm a BDM and I want to work with more investors, right? My ideal client profile is someone that owns 3 to 5 properties or 10 to 20 properties, right? That's a very different conversation than someone who's an accidental landlord. And this is an area, because of your own experience as a real estate investor and someone who owned a property management company, you're really well suited to kind of speak to those differences, right? So maybe you could kind of give me your overall high level summary of the difference between being able to attract and work with investors versus somebody who's more of an accidental landlord. How you would approach that differently for the investor?
Sure. So an investor is probably already coming to you familiar with some of those metrics that you would have to introduce to an accidental landlord.
Sure.
In
Yeah.
my experience, I'm a real estate broker. I'm a real estate investor. I have syndicated many real estate investments and created partnerships.
Yeah.
I'm a CCIM. I'm a CPM. Like this is my world. And when I speak to people that are in that world, we talk about cap rates, and it's just part of the conversation. It's not, do you know what a cap rate is? It's not, can I teach
Right.
you about a cap rate? It's we're
Yeah.
off to the races. This is like driving a car.
Right.
When my kids are going to school, to elementary school with me, I try to explain to them what miles per hour means when we're looking at the
Yeah.
sign. Okay.
Right. Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
explaining cap rate to somebody who's already an investor who owns a dozen houses. So,
Yeah.
so what it is speaking their language, and it's being a resource. So I have found that when I became known as a person who was quite knowledgeable about investment real estate, you're an ally. Like
Mm.
you've now set yourself apart, and those investors that own those properties, they see a sea of property managers out there, but then they
Yeah.
see the few who are actually speaking their language, the few who can
Yeah.
say, hey, listen, I really think we can push NOI at this property by doing such and so. And
Right.
a property manager, if you're actually keeping an eye on the net operating income, and if you're trying to push that, and if you're trying to maximize that, well, everybody in the investment world knows you're making that property worth more money.
That's right.
and
That's
and
right.
just communicating that to the property owner and letting them know, hello, Mrs. Property Owner, I want you to know that I think we can get your NOI up, 10% this year by doing X, Y, and Z. I mean, that's a whole nother service in a way. It's not really a service, but it's
Yeah.
phrasing the services that you're offering in context that makes
Yep.
real value. And so, yeah, with investors is a little bit of a different vocabulary,
Right.
and having the tools and the skill set to do it.
Well, yeah, I think it's definitely a different vocabulary for sure. And if I'm a BDM out talking to a prospect, I want to make sure that I can speak that. But it's also a different way of operating, right? And really moving from somebody who's hired to collect rent, right, to what you're talking about, which is maximizing investment value, performance, right? It's not the commoditized transactional, hey, you pay me 8%, 10%, and I'll go unclog toilets and collect the rent for you, right? It's
Right.
these are two very different worlds. And so I think for the person that wants to work with an investor, uh, the session that you're leading is going to be really valuable, and we're going to get into how you can use a tool like Rescover to illustrate that. And if you yourself are not up to date on a lot of these terms, how these things are calculated, right, what they mean to an investor, you're going to come away with a lot that's going to arm you for your sales conversation. So, Morgan, we are thrilled to have Rescover as one of our title sponsors at Elevate SKO, and really, really excited for the session you're going to be leading, as well as just to see everybody there who's looking to get better in 2026.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Ben. I'm looking forward to being there. We're thrilled and honored to be able to be a title sponsor, and looking forward to participating and see everybody out there in January.
Love it. Thanks, Morgan.
Okay, thanks, Ben. See ya.